Hey guys, it's Adam back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the iPhone 4S. So this is 6 years old, and let's just see how it copes in 2017, since it's pretty old. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start off with the specs. So this phone actually has an Apple A5 processor, which is pretty ancient since the A10 is already out. It has a 3.5-inch display and it's pretty low resolution. I'm not sure which resolution. Very low, especially because even Apple's recent displays aren't even 1440p. It has an 8 megapixel shooter, a 1400 milliamp battery, and half a gigabyte of RAM, which is pretty poor for today's standards. But obviously, this is a very old phone, so you have to expect it from that. But also, iOS can run off a little better with less RAM, so you have to take that in mind. Okay, so I'm not going to do any benchmarks because this phone's pretty old and obviously they're going to be really slow. But if you just look at the home screen, it's pretty fast. But when I do use it normally, it does lag out. So I have switched to the LG G3 for good because this phone eventually slows down, and when running many applications, it just shuts off and sometimes powers off. Obviously, I've had to replace the battery because this phone is quite old now. I didn't get it when it was released, but I got it pretty far back, so this phone's pretty old, quite slow. I have restarted it, and it still doesn't seem to keep up to today's standards. I guess you could use it for a second phone, just for taking calls and texting, but even then, this phone is pretty small, so if you get the keyboard up, you've got all these keys in a 3.5-inch display, so it's pretty hard to type. So I do like bigger phones, not massive ones, but I feel bigger phones are slightly better, especially with this really small screen. Okay, so as we can see, this phone isn't very good. I will take some photos and show you some of the photos that are taken with this. It's not very good, the camera. I've tried to take some. It doesn't really play up to some of the cameras in today's smartphones. Even the LG G3, which is a few years old, is a lot better than this. It even shoots 4K. This shoots 1080p. Obviously 1080p is still fine, but the actual quality of the photos isn't very good. Anyway, I would not recommend this phone. It is not very good. So unless you're taking calls and texting and that's all you're doing on this phone, that's the only case where I'd recommend it, because it doesn't even support 4G, it only supports 3G, so that's not very good. But I guess if you really want a really cheap phone, you can get it for about £60 or $60 on eBay or whatever other things you want to buy it on, like Craigslist or whatever. But obviously we don't have that in the UK. In the US, maybe anyone looking for this phone, you could get it on there. This phone isn't very good. I would recommend something like the iPhone 5S if you really want that iOS experience. Maybe even the iPhone 5, but the iPhone 5 isn't that good. It works, but I recommend the 5S since it's got a fingerprint scanner and it's decent, and that goes for about £150 or $150, but obviously you just got to get it on a good deal, because you can get it on eBay and Craigslist and Amazon even for $150. So I would recommend getting an iPhone 5 rather than this, because this phone is incredibly slow and incredibly small, so it's quite compact, which is nice, but apart from that, the small screen isn't very useful. You don't get a lot of real estate, so it's not very good. So yeah, bad luck if you want to get a cheap phone. Do not get this phone. I'd say get a better phone like the iPhone 5S or the LG G3, which goes for about £150 as well. But this does go for £60. So if you do want to get one that costs a very small price, then I would recommend this. But only if you only got £60 to spare, because, and even then, I wouldn't really recommend getting this, because you might as well save up and get a better phone, because this phone will probably die in a few years. So that is my final conclusion. Okay guys, so that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously not the best because it's not a good phone, but I just wanted to give my opinions on that phone. Here's my PC building video and my most recent video. I will not be linking it in the description since it's not a good phone and I do not recommend it. You can buy it if you really want to, but you will have to look up that yourself, because I just do not recommend it, and just don't get it. Get an iPhone 5S or something else, not this. Anyway, yeah, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.